Hey everybody, it's your old pal Tom here on the Tom Gulley Show. Tonight, let me tell you about the Philips CDI, a long ago retro piece of gaming and other kinds of technology. It was originally devised to do a whole bunch of stuff, but it kind of found its own way, and it has a fond spot in the heart of many people who used it back in the day. Our very special guest star, Leon Kennedy, will be joining us, and he's the musical director here on the Tom Gulley Show. He will be the guy responsible for the two songs I'm going to play shortly, and this, of course, would be our cold open, because, you see, we do a cold open for our audio podcast listeners so that when they arrive, they don't just hear a bunch of music and think, what is this? You know, that music does serve a very useful function, and it is to allow people to get into our interactive YouTube chat room. And that's where all the fun and excitement starts. I myself, I grew up, we had the first Pong game, and then we had the first Atari station. So I was on the cutting edge of the early gaming, but I didn't have any fancy CDI stuff until 20 years later. And the first computer that I personally owned myself was an Apple II or a Mac II. I can't remember the name of it. It was a little towery looking thing. It had a screen that was not all that big, but for the time it was very revolutionary. Let me tell you. Anyway, Leon will be with us, and he will share his experiences and knowledge regarding the CDI. I see already some people in the chat are saying they had one or used one, which will be helpful. You know, Pong was, it was okay. It was really exciting for about a week. And then after that, you were just like, yeah, I get it. It pongs back and forth and took forever. It's like once the little blip went past you, it took a long time to put the score up, and you'd sit there and wait. But I do remember the Christmas morning when we got the Atari, and it was in all color. And it had a cartridge that was called Target Fun. It had, I think, 40, 50 games on it where you just shot things and used a joystick and, So we did back in the day. There were no keyboards involved. There were no mice. There were no made for trackball gaming use things. It was just the joystick that came with the game. And you could buy other games, all of which were horrible. The majority of them were horrible. Anyway, Leon Kennedy is in our green room right now. And we will commence the show very, very soon after I play a few of his masterful songs, of course. At which point, let me tell you about the Philips CDI.
Sometime in the night, somewhere past the evening light, there's a man talking just out of sight, making sense so the wrong and the right. Somewhere past the talking head, some time to ignore what they said. There's a chair, a desk, a glowing sign, and Tom Gulley's right on time. No scripts, no nets, no safety rails, just sharp ideas and strange little tales. You Sometime when you know he's there, somewhere in the evening air. There's a light o'clock, the studio glow, and Tom Gulley's running the show. Callers roll in, the clock spins around, truth and nonsense both get found. Every night's a brand new ride, with Tom as the guide. No scripts, no nets, no safety rails, just sharp ideas and strange little tales. You listen in, you lean back slow, and just let it go.
So start the show. Tom's here to go. So let it roll.
Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What's shaking? Let me tell you about the Philips CDI, along with our special guest star who will be joining us in just a moment, Leon Kennedy, our musical director and an aficionado of the Philips CDI. Yes, he knows everything about it, which is good because I just know what I learned today. Don't you know? Hey, before we get going, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those absolutely free things that you can do that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing algorithm. I'll just go ahead and put the begging bar up. There you go. And, you know, we have the PayPal. If you go to our YouTube description, there's a lot of other things there, including all of the Gulley Core music that's on, I think, SoundCloud. That link is in our YouTube description. Also, if you go to the TomGulleyShow.com, you can get access to our merch store, where you can get a whole bunch of stuff with our logo on it, including a shower curtain. Can you dig it? I knew that you could. The chat room is lively. And let's see. Dark Brian is here. I don't really know who that is, but he's dark and he's Brian. So he's got that going for him. Let's see here. Chef is here. He's on the couch. That's nice. That's great. Then Guido Samurai is here. He says hello to fellow scholars of the Tom Gulley Show. Terry Nee said he had it, meaning, I guess, Pong or the Atari thing. Great musical artist. He's referring to Leon Kennedy there, I'm quite certain. And he says he had to compete with his parents for the TV to play Pong. Yeah, he needed to go garage sale it and buy an old black and white because Pong was in black and white. Guido Samurai says, all I can think about is Lechmere now. I don't know what that is. And then Terry Nee very hilariously says, I played with matches before Atari. And for that, we are going to play the Terry Nee song here in a second. Guido Samurai says the square synth sounds of Atari are amazing, though. Yeah, but they didn't do a lot with it. Just bleeps and blips. Dark Lalo says this peace is what all true warriors strive for. I don't know what he's referring to there. Maybe the peace has happened somewhere in the world. Certainly hasn't on the internet ever. Leon did a great song for Summer Rose. It brought tears to her eyes, says the chef. He did do that. Pong was pretty bad, not going to lie. It was. And he is glad to hear that the chef was happy with the song that Leon did for the chef's daughter, Summer Rose. And now we are going to play the Terry Nee song. Many of you may be wondering who's Terry Nee. Luckily, we have Leon Kennedy, and he wrote a song that answers that in musical form.
Sits in the chat like he paid a fee. Shades indoors, who can he see? Acts a name, he points at me like, come on now, I'm Terry Nee. Head full funk, 0 degree. Smooth brain, confidence, guilt-free. You ask again, he shrugs carefree. Buddy, I'm Terry Nee, he's Terry Nee. Who's Terry Nee? He's Terry Nee. Who's Terry Nee? Say it once, say it twice with me. That's the whole damn song. Terry Nee.
You probably don't know who Terry Nee is any more than you did before. But we did make a song. So Rumble Trenchcoat is with us. He says, evening, folks. I love my CDI, and it also sucked. Guido Samurai says, Lechmere was a department store I waited in for hours for CDI games. We'll tell you about some of those. He says, there's a girl from China I know who says they use CDI up until recently. Well, I can't speak for the people in China. I'm sorry. But I can speak for the throngs of adoring fans of our special guest star tonight. And that is, of course, the one, the only, the often imitated, never duplicated, Mr. Leon Kennedy.
I'm here, Tom. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
Good. I can hear you as well. You need to stop telling people that I know everything about everything. I don't know anything, Tom. I don't know why you brought me here tonight. I've never even heard of the Philips CDI. I don't know what you're talking about.
But it was your idea. I wouldn't have done
well, I was going to say, Terry D. We should make a real song for Terry D. instead of
No, we don't want to feed that beast.
You don't want to encourage him, no.
That ego is just about as big as it can get already.
No, he didn't deserve a song, really.
You put many of the listeners in the songs. Which one is it? Once You Go Gully has like 4 people in it or something?
That's like a roll call, yeah. I tried to include as many people as I could. I never include myself, though. I'm too humble for that.
Yes, that's what they say. People are happy that you're here, and people are clapping or doing something. It looks like clapping to me. I don't know. But anyway, oh, God, the Philips CDI. Oh, hold on. Guido Samurai says, it's the British accent is why you sound much smarter than, say, one who is Yorked. I don't even know what that means.
What does Yorked mean?
I kind of know what it means, but I don't want to say.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's the same as yoked, but it's something. So the Philips CDI, it CDI stands for Compact Disc Interactive. It's a digital optical disc data storage format as well as a hardware platform developed and marketed by Dutch company Philips and Japanese company Sony. So there's that. And they have the same dimensions as a CD, 744 megabytes, which used to seem like a lot, doesn't anymore, and 72 minutes of full motion video. What do you think about that? Most of the players were created by Philips, but it was licensed by Philips and Microware for use by other manufacturers, a whole bunch of them. I can give the names later, but...
Yeah, there's loads of them. I don't know. It wasn't that one, I don't think, that I have. It's a slightly different one. And I definitely didn't have that controller.
I have others.
My controller was different. So, yeah, I know there's loads of them. Yeah, it's weird.
I'll show some other ones. I'll show some other ones later. The thing is that Sony released a professional CDI level player under the Intelligent Discman brand. So unlike CD-ROM drives, CDI players are complete computer systems centered around and dedicated to the Motorola 68,000 based microprocessor chip. What do you think about that? That's some pretty good research there to get the actual chip.
That is, I've never heard of that before.
Look at that thing. That's
that
a hell.
Great in the 90s.
That's a hell of a chip.
Yeah, I think phones have better chips than that these days, don't they?
I've seen chips in my day, and that's fine.
It's a good one. Yeah, that's definitely a good one.
That's a fine chip. So I'll get to Bill Gates in a second. He has something to do with this, but the something that he has to do with it is nothing, which is, So what we're going to use these for was something called edutainment. They wanted it to be educational and entertaining, They wanted to introduce interactive multimedia content to the general public by combining the features of a CD player and a game console, but at a lower price than a personal computer. So it was initially priced at like $1,000 US, which is like $2,300 in today's money.
Yeah, it was really expensive. Really expensive.
And it was capable of playing CDI discs, audio CDs, CD plus G, which was a CD plus graphics format, photo CDs, and video CDs, although the later one required an optional digital video card to decode MPEG files. And I have a couple of those that I'll show later. But the development of it started in 1984, 2 years after the compact disc itself was released. And it was announced by Philips and Sony, who were the largest electronics companies at the time. Bill Gates here had no idea beforehand that this format was under development in his company at Microsoft. He didn't even have a clue, which I find kind of hilarious. I just think it's funny that, you know, this whole thing was going on, and Bill Gates didn't never.
I don't think he knows a lot about what's going on for the most part. He doesn't really have that much of a hands-on approach with what's going on under him.
Just the money part.
Strange.
So
just the money part, really, yeah.
This was the video insert cardy thing. This is one of them. This was like an early one, and then this is another one that it was a cartridge that you would, I guess, somehow dock with the actual unit itself.
Yeah, I'd only heard of that today while I was doing research, and I like literally never heard of it before. The CDI that my dad bought must have been a later model, because it didn't have that at all. It could just play whatever discs you put in it that were made for the CDI. So I don't know what that's about, if it's the earlier models that needed that. And yeah, when I looked it up on Wikipedia, it said that some models didn't need it, but it's all a bit confusing. It's all a bit lost to history about which models needed it, which ones didn't, because there's so many different models of the CDI that it doesn't really make any sense anymore.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of them to show later. Rumpled Trenchcoat says, I had the Philips one. That controller was like a very bad version of the Super Nintendo controller. The hole in the center of the D-pad is where you could screw in a small joystick, which was also bad.
Ah, yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's terrible. Yep.
Guido Samurai says, I had to hold my Discman in weird positions so it didn't skip. The Walkman was better. Oh, yes, the Walkman was a vast improvement. Tim Jenkinson says, did Gates get one for the kids on? Hey, now, let's not get into that whole thing. Gates on steels only. Okay. He's just Bill Gates, man. Neither like. Anyway, this format quickly gained interest from all the big manufacturers and got backing from many of them, particularly Matsushita. And although it was a joint effort, Philips eventually took over the majority of the development at the expense of Sony. Philips invested many millions in developing titles and players based on the CDI specs. Initially branded CDI with a capital I, the name was changed in 1991 to a lowercase I. That's fancy. The CDI format is a bridge format, also designed by Philips, that defines disc compatible with CD digital audio players and CDI players. That format puts CDI software and data into the pre-gap of track 1. So there's information there if you have a CDI. The CDI bridge format, defined in the Philips White Book, is a transitional format allowing bridge disc to be played on both CD-ROM drives and CDI players. We would just call that grandfather today, I guess, probably. The CDI digital video format launched in 1993, containing movies that could be played on CDI players with that digital video cartridge add-on. The format was incompatible with video CD, although a CDI unit with the digital insert could play both formats. Only about 20 movies were released on the format, and it was stopped in 1995 in favor of just regular video compact disc, which later, I guess, became DVD. So there you go. There you go. I don't know what my next graphic is here, but oh, this is one of the games. We can probably skip past a lot of the sort of partnerships. There was a joint venture with Polygram to publish music consumer software. They launched Philips Interactive Media in Europe. Early releases for the CDI focused on educational music and self-improvement titles with relatively few games. And the games that they did have were computer versions of board games, like this Connect 4 that I'm showing right now. That was an early CDI game. So
incredible. Imagine that, playing Connect 4 on the CDI. It's nothing better than that.
Let's take a boring board game and make it a boring video game. The system struggled in the multimedia device market against low-cost PCs, and games became its best-selling software. By 1993, Philips encouraged MS-DOS and console developers to create games and introduced a $250 peripheral with expanded memory and full motion video support so that their games could be competitive with the cheaper thing. So anyway, the notable CDI games, and I think this is probably where you're going to know things, were Nintendo franchises, although the games themselves were not developed by Nintendo. So they just took things from the franchises and made them CDI. One was Hotel Mario. And then there were 3 Zelda titles. One was called Link, the Face of Evil. Another one was Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon. That's not heavy-handed. And they were made possible by an agreement between Nintendo and Philips to develop. Nintendo said, you can use these as long as you develop a CD-based add-on for your CDI thing for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but they never did anything but make a prototype. So, did you play any of these games?
No, that whole deal fell through, where Sony jumped in and took over, and that's where the PlayStation came from. Originally, it was that partnership falling apart between Philips and Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get a Zelda game on like a Microsoft platform because they were scorned so badly by Philips. Just then, okay, never again.
Well, they released some other stuff, but before we get to that, we do have people that use this thing. Rumple Trenchcoat says, by the way, if you're not watching Rumple Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast on YouTube, you are missing out. Go watch an episode and then listen to their recap of it. It's fabulous. He says, I think the earlier models needed the graphics plug-in cartridge, which was essentially just extra RAM. Yeah, we showed 2 of those. Guido Samurai says, I mean, it is kind of an early Xbox in some ways. It is. Bad with not many game titles. Rumble Trenchcoat says, I had Patriot games, and like a lot of those movies, you needed to change to a second disc around halfway through the movie. Yeah, because they only had 72 minutes of storable video. Guido Samurai says the best game by far was the Seventh Guest.
Yeah, I was wondering that, actually, yeah.
What about the...
Yep, Seventh Guest, good game.
Oh, yeah. At the time was the only one that worked. Well, Dark Cloud says, Leon, can you hit us with the classic dinner line? Can you? What's the classic dinner line? Leon? Hello, Leon?
Dinner? Sorry, Tom, you're kind of breaking up.
Well, hopefully I'm not breaking up on this end.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. I can hear you just fine. Okay, well, if the problem continues, just leave the room and come back or something. I don't know what to do. I've wonky UK internet or something. Guido Samurai says only a seventh guest that worked. I mean, let's see. Hotel Mario, says Rumple Trenchcoat, made me want to throw my controller, but they were so expensive I had to replace what I But I learned patience and said, the chef says, I don't know what a dinner line is, but as a chef, I'll go for a song about food. Yeah, Dark Lelit, try to make your comments cogent. Forgot about Hotel Mario. Those CDI games were so huge in the late 2000s, memes in general. Scott says, great guest. Rumple Trenchcoat says, I just remembered, well, excuse me, Princess from the Zelda games. A bad meme killed Leon. Seventh guest was a lot of fun at the time. Sorry, I think my internet is dying. I'll try and rejoin. Do that. Sounds Australian. No, if it was Australian, it wouldn't work. It'd be all busted down and stuff. Anyway, at the Computer Electronics Show in 1992, numerous full motion titles appeared. And I think you guys are going to know some of these, because I actually know some of these. For instance, this was that other Zelda title. Sorry, Zelda's Adventure. But the motion titles were Dragon's Lair. Hold on, I'm waiting for Leon's devices to connect. Haven't connected yet. Come on, big fella. I'm going to add him to the stage and just see what happens. Leon, can you hear me? Oh, Leon.
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, beautiful. All right,
can you hear me?
So, yes, I can hear you.
Tom?
Yes, I can hear you. So we just got
I don't
to
know
the
what
first...
happened there. Yeah, it disconnected, I think.
Yeah. We got a tornado watch here till 10 o'clock. I just thought I'd throw that out there. The motion titles announced in 1992 included Dragon's Lair, which of course was a super popular arcade game. And then also Mad Dog McCree. If anybody has played any of these, let me know. Burn Cycle is considered one of the stronger CDI titles and was later ported to PC.
I didn't play that one. Yeah, I've heard that was good, but I never played it, so I don't know.
This here magazine, Electronic Gaming Monthly, noted that CDI's full motion video capabilities were the strongest feature. However, most titles required the MPEG upgrade card to take advantage of them. And then Philips also did a ton of adaptations of TV game shows for reasons I don't know why, because these are kind of fuddy-duddy games and shows. They did Jeopardy with Alex Trebek, and he was the host of the game. They did Name That Tune, and they did two versions of Joker's Wild with Wink Martindale. Good old Wink Martindale. Yes. Did you have any of these awful games, Leon?
I did not. No, I don't think they were even released in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't, because they're just, like I said, they were fuddy-duddy kind of. I mean, these were old for me. Guido said, a little off topic, but does anyone remember Bernoulli discs? I think they were called. I certainly don't. Scott says, my internet always works in Australia. The two Dixie cans with the string. Guido Samurai says, there was some future car racing game. I can't remember. Mad Dog McCree was a Western-style shooter. Picture Dragon's Lair, only live action instead of cartoon, and light gun zapper instead of a controller. Hey, now, that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a pop when Leon starts and stops. He's taking himself off the air because I think he thinks there's a hum or something. I don't know why he does it, but I don't care.
No, that's just a habit of mine. I always do that, Tom.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just a habit of his. Scott, thanks for asking. Scott, you're really bringing a lot to the table for the show, as always. Thank you. Thank you. It's very helpful, Scott. Extremely, extremely helpful.
We love
Nobody, he's been a guest, before. Nobody said a thing about it. It didn't bother them at all. But if somebody's going to get a bug up there, it's going to be Scott. Let's see here. Let's see. Well, you can love Scott all you want. Anyway, in 1993, American musician Todd Rundgren created the first fully interactive music CD for his CD No World Order, and he did it for CDI, enabling over 15,000 points of customization. Jeez Louise. And they had children's entertainment too, like the Berenstain Bears, which I think are just retarded, but nobody cares what I think. So you didn't have any of those. What was your favorite game on the CDI, Leon?
Cluedo. You'd know it as Clue in America. It's called Cluedo over here, though, for some reason.
Clue, what was it? What'd you do in that game?
It's the board game. The board game Clue, where you go around Colonel Mustard and all that.
Yeah, Professor Plum with a candlestick in the library.
Yeah, I always played as Professor Plum, but the CDI version was really, really good. Because you'd go from room to room, but it was actually laid out like a proper murder mystery. So it would be a random killer, a random weapon, a random room every single time you played, so you'd never know. Couldn't guess. And you would have to go around interrogating the other characters, like you'd have to cross-reference Colonel Mustard's alibi with Miss Scarlet's alibi. You'd have to find fingerprints on the murder weapons, there'd be red herrings, you'd have to know which room it was, and there'd be rooms that have blood on them. Which weren't the murder room, and then you could watch like a video and it would show you why that room had blood in it for whatever reason. It was really, really good. It's a really underrated game. And when I was young, my parents could never finish it. They could never ever guess who the killer was because, like I said, it was random every time. So there was no, you actually had to work it. So a few years ago, I borrowed my dad's CDI, plugged it in, which is great fun with a modern TV. I had to plug it into about 15 different things.
Adapter.
Yeah, it was like on life support. And I just sat down and I went, I'm going to win Cluedo. I'm going to do it. And I sat down for about 2 hours keeping notes. And I finally did it. I finally beat Cluedo. And I remember telling my mom, and she was like, no, you didn't. I don't believe you. I think you cheated. She was so annoyed that I had finally beat Cluedo and she couldn't.
Well,
I don't know why it bothered her so much. It's like...
Me either. These were released in a lot of places: Belgium, Canada, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Japan, Singapore, the UK, United States, and the former Eastern Bloc nations. They were going to release it for Brazil, India, Australia in the coming months and other places, but the whole thing was discontinued. And if you're releasing it to Australia, it's the whole thing's just going to fail, and you might as well not even continue, really.
Yeah, I think
let's see
work
here.
that out, yeah.
Rumble Trenchcoat said, fun fact, it was called Cluedo as a portmanteau of Clue and Ludo, which was Latin for I play. The do was dropped in for America. Well, the Ludo actually was a game that they released in the Netherlands, I think, during some of that previous game releasing I was talking about. Scott Green says, I love that the CDI format used in Hotel Mario uses DYUV encoding, a strange delta-based color compression method unique to the CDI hardware. Thank you, Scott, for that amazingly boring, irrelevant piece of information. We talked about this, and now you're doing it.
I don't know how he knows that. That's really specific.
He doesn't. He's on ChatGPT or something. As he admitted yesterday in the Pod Awful Discord. But this is what I'm showing right now is the Philips CDI 220. I don't know if that's the one you had or not, but that game player, that controller, it just looks horrible.
Yeah, I think that might be the one. Yeah, because it has the on-off button on the top and it has the other buttons, and that was the controller. Yeah, that controller was terrible.
Well, this is the. I mentioned that there was a professional level CDI. This is it. It was 3 stacks to make everything work. And as you can see, it had the old floppy disk inserts for it too and stuff.
What? Why does it have floppy disks?
I have no idea.
I didn't have any floppy disks on my CDI. It was just CDs.
I guess because it was professional level, they needed a way to integrate computer stuff or something. I don't know.
It must be, yeah.
I have no idea. So that's a fun fact. Yeah, his fact was fun. Your fact, Scott, was generated to make people walk away from you at parties if you told them that. Chum Fiesta says, "What up, Scott, you dingus?" I'm telling you. Let's see. I have some other stuff here. This is another version of the CDI. This is a more advanced one.
Yeah, actually, that was the one. Yeah, that was it. It's because I remember it has the one button on the left of that little screen. Yeah, that was.
This is actually an earlier version of the one that I previously showed you.
See, that's weird because if it was an earlier one, it definitely didn't need that chip thing, unless my dad bought it and I just didn't know. But I don't think so. It's. Yeah, it has. You see on the front, it has one controller port. You could play the CDI games 2-player, but the other port was in the back, like around the back of the unit. So if you wanted to plug a second controller in, you'd have to pull the whole thing out just to plug a second controller in. It was really badly designed.
Well, there's other versions. So this one came out before the other one with that I showed you with the horrible. Little controller. This one here, so this one is the 210. The other one was the 220. This is the CDI 550 with its even more criticized paddle controller.
Yeah, that looks awful. Because it had remotes that were infrared. That's what it came with. So they didn't have a cable. But that one does, which is strange. It didn't look like that either. It wasn't that weird ping pong paddle. It was like a TV remote with an analog in the middle of it, and it was awful. Because it wasn't. That's the thing about the CDI is it wasn't really a games console. Even the chat seems to think that, because like you said earlier, it was more of like a multimedia thing. It wasn't really designed for specifically for gaming. So the controllers and stuff came out later, like. Originally, if you wanted to play games with it, you had to use that terrible remote, which was just like, no, you couldn't play games with that. It's just not. It just wouldn't work. It was awful.
It does look like one of the big family-sized George Foreman grills. And interestingly enough, this one is branded by Magnavox. I think Philips just licensed it to Magnavox. They licensed it to many companies. And I will tell you those companies in just a second. Rumble Trenchcoat says the controllers were also daisy chained, so you had to plug one controller into the next one. The plus side is you could have a lot of controllers chained together. That was also the downside.
Yeah, that wasn't true with my CDI. They were separate. You didn't have to chain them together, but yeah, you had to plug it in the back, which was a really big design flaw. Especially where it was, like where my dad had plugged it in, was under the TV. And you'd have to pull the whole thing out with like all the SCART cables and the power cables all shoved in the back of it. And it's just awful.
So they, had these produced by a lot of different companies. And even after Philips abandoned the CDI, other companies kept producing them. Bang & Olufsen, Grundig, Gold Star, which became LG Electronics, Kyocera, Maspro, Memorex, Nippon Broadcasting System, Sony, which I'm showing you right now, released 2 CDI models under the Intelligent Discman brand. It looks very portable. and it was intended to be. But they were meant for professional use, and they only made them for like 2 years. Anyway, before these commercially came out, other companies expressed interest in producing players or developed prototypes that weren't released, including Panasonic, who originally was investing in the format, Pioneer, JVC, Toshiba, Epson, Ricoh, Fujitsu, Samsung, Yamaha, Sanyo. They displayed one, but they never sold it or anything. So everybody was, like technology. Everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon until they find out that doesn't work so good. Let's see here. Magnavox 4 times speed. And that CD-ROM. It was cheaper in the CDI, like way cheaper. Let's see what else we have here. This is the motherboard of the CDI 220. That's the motherboard that I think you had.
Maybe. Yeah. I can tell you that they're impossible to repair. Because my mum was actually using it fairly recently. She was playing the Seventh Guest on it, and she had to keep doing the first puzzle over and over again. And it was because the CDI wasn't saving anymore, so the internal battery had died after 30 odd years, So we looked it up online how to replace this thing, and I'm not kidding you, Tom. You have to get a Dremel and drill through you have to take it apart and drill through the top until you reach the battery, and then remove the battery physically. It's like brain surgery. It's like brain surgery, drilling through a skull with a drill. And my parents tried it and they couldn't get it. They couldn't resurrect it. So for the time being, I am CDI-less, unfortunately. I don't know where it is at the moment.
Here's a great question. Alan Goose asked producer Scott, and he is not the producer of this show. He may be indeed a producer of some
Scott,
show.
Yeah.
Which models were available in Australia? And I have the answer to that. None. They just said, we're not going to Australia. Seventh Guest gave me nightmares. We don't want that. The battery. Yeah, that's how some people say battery. So let's see.
The battery. Yeah.
Let's see here. This is the CDI mouse, most commonly used for professional software. And this is is this the controller that you had?
That is the one. It's stiff as hell. It's terrible. That third button does absolutely nothing. It's not used for anything, which makes no sense because it's like the buttons are labeled 1, 2, and 3. Uh-huh. But if you press 1 and 2 together, then that equals the third button. So it doesn't have any use. And you can see that little toggle on the bottom right there. That changes the speed of the cursor. Either agonizingly slow or kind of reasonably fast. There were 3 options: agonizingly slow, slightly slow, and kind of reasonable. That's all you got.
Yeah, they actually did manufacture a controller especially for kids that was like super dumbed down. It was called the roller controller.
That would probably be better for most of the games, to be fair.
Well, I was just about to say, even
Looks
though
like
it
it works better.
meant for kids, it did have an advanced technology in it, the big giant, trackball. So anyway, let's see here. I'm not going to get into the networked usage of these and I actually have something from your neck of the woods. But the big thing about the CDI is that it had internet service. I don't know if you used internet service, but this is actually the email screen for CD Online UK. And you had to have an additional piece of hardware, a modem, and a CD Online disc, which was called WebEye in the United States. They released those in the UK for $150 US, And it provided the CDI with full internet access if you had a 14.4K modem, and it included online shopping, email, support for network multiplayer games on select CDI games, and it required a CDI player with the digital cartridge and an internet starter kit, which retailed for £99. But it was advertised as bringing full internet access to living rooms on TV screens. And it was not well received. It was called by the official CDI magazine as very much internet light. And its main advantage was it was cheap. The downside is that using a browser doesn't support Netscape. You can only access 10 articles on Usenet at a time. It'll only support 80 bookmarks. It only has about 40% functionality. So that service went live in October of 1995, which was kind of the heart or the beginning of the heart of the AOL boom. And in March 1996, it debuted in the Netherlands. Only one game was released that supported CD Online, the first-person shooter game, Ram Raid. Players from any country in the world could compete against each other as long as they had a copy of the game. So, did you do any internet stuff or game playing?
No. We didn't have internet in my house until about the 2000, I think, 1999, 2000, maybe a bit later. Yeah, even though my dad worked for British Telecom and he used to put in the broadband lines and stuff like that, there was just, I couldn't imagine any purpose of ever having that. It wasn't like people were sending emails back and forth in the 90s. You know, it wasn't a very well adopted technology back then, the internet. It was used by, I don't know, technicians, like business people maybe, but I couldn't see people using that in their home. Like, what would be the purpose?
Well, America Online was all the rage in the United States. I started on it in 1993, and you could shop. You could certainly get the news. One of the biggest advancements, even on AOL, was that you could get sports scores immediately. You didn't have to wait for the newspaper. You didn't have to wait for the television. You could get it immediately. And you could talk to other people on message boards about things and stuff like that. But yeah, I was on, when I got AOL, I was on it every night when I got home for 4, 5, 6 hours.
Yeah, it didn't take off in the UK. That was the thing. Nobody really had any use for it. There was teletext, I suppose. Like that was a kind of internet service in a way. But even that was archaic and weird. Yeah, sending emails back and forth or message boards and things like that wasn't really a part of the UK culture. I imagine some people probably did it, but it would have been very, very niche.
I can remember the United States played in the Copa America, and you know, I couldn't get the game on television, which was very hard to do back then, but there were people that were at the game that had AOL that were streaming just text of what was happening, putting it up in a message on a message board, not even
the
old-fashioned
way,
not even a chat room, but a message board, and we beat Argentina 4-0, and I was just going crazy. And it's like that you could never have done before AOL. Rumble Trenchcoat says the trackball would have been great for Missile Command, but they never made Missile Command for CDI. Someone's lamenting Urquhart, the loss of Urquhart. He's still alive, I'm quite certain. I built a guest house with all the AOL trial discs that I got by mail. That was one thing about AOL. Rumple Trenchcoat is right. If you bought a magazine in a newsstand or had one sent to your house, or they would just send them to you, or you would buy another completely you buy a pair of shoes, there'd be an AOL disc in it. They sent those AOL discs out to everywhere.
They did here as well, but that was like early 2000s, and yeah, nobody used those. They were just thrown all over the place. I remember people just throwing them on the floor.
Yeah, they were. Well, we used to like use them as frisbees and stuff. Ram Ranch. I don't think that's the name of the game that they had, but let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is kind of funny. Well, first thing is that in October of 1994, Philips claimed an installed base of 1 million units. In other words, they sold 1 million units worldwide. In 1996, 2 years later, the Wall Street Journal reported that total U.S. sales amounted to 400,000 units. But the legacy of it, this, by the way, is the CDI 450 console at the Computer and Video Game Console Museum of Helsinki in 2012. There's a museum. Although extensively marketed by Philips, notably via infomercial, consumer interest in CDI titles remained low. By 1994, the sales of the systems had begun to slow, and in 1998, the product line was dropped. Plans for a second-generation CDI system were present, and Argonaut Software even designed a chip set for the successor, but nobody saw any interest in it, so Philips sold everything about the CDI to one of their subsidiaries called Polygram. And then some other things. Half of the Dutch half of Philips Media was sold to someone else who released some games on the CDI, and those were the last produced. The French side of the company, who had purchased some video game companies, got rid of some other stuff. The last CDI game was Solar Crusade, made by Infogrames and released in 1999. After it was discontinued, the CDI was overwhelmingly panned by critics who blasted its graphics, its games, and its controls. Microsoft CEO Bill Gates admitted that initially he was worried about the CDI due to Philips' heavy support for the device and its two-pronged attack on both the games console and the PC markets. And he said it was a device that got caught in the middle. It was a terrible game machine, and it was a terrible PC. So in 2007, Game Trailers ranked the Philips CDI as the fourth worst console of all time in its top 10 worst console lineup. So later on, like now, the CDI has become infamously best known for its video games, particularly those from the Nintendo licensed Mario and Legend of Zelda series, considered by many to be of poor quality. Games that were most heavily criticized included Hotel Mario, Link the Faces of Evil, Zelda the Wand of Gamelon, and Zelda's Adventure. However, Burn Cycle was positively received by critics and has often been held up as the standout title for the CDI.
And it's like the only one I've not played. Cluedo as well, I looked up a while ago, and people who are really into the board game will say that that's actually a good adaptation. The CDI version is actually a very good adaptation of the board game, which is true. I really like Cluedo. I'm not joking. I'm not saying it for laughs. I think the CDI version of Cluedo is really good.
Hey, look at this. We ought to do a thing. Hold on. I gotta write this down. I'm gonna do a show on AOL.
AOL discs. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, man, AOL was a wild phenomenon. It was the Wild West of the internet. It really was. Imagine a world without internet, and then all of a sudden everybody's got it with AOL. But anyway. Robert Trenchcoat says, my wife and I met each other running a comedy game chat show on AOL called Hecklers Online. I tease AOL, but those were fun times. They were a blast. They were a blast. Miss Fortune says, did you know the Philips CDI was a compact disc-based system? I didn't know that.
No.
Robert Trenchcoat says, you can fairly blast everything about the CDI, but the graphics, which were legitimately great. Guido says, "What was the worst console?" Now, so why do you remember this fondly? Was it just because you used it when you were younger, or I mean, that's what you had, that's what you used, so that you remember it, or what's the standout reason you remember this thing?
The funny thing is that it wasn't it wasn't something that I actually used that frequently, and I had access to better things as well. Like I had an Atari ST growing up. I had a Game Boy growing up as well. The Game Boy was great.
Well, yeah.
I had a proper PC that I could play games on, but I just had a fondness for the CDI. Like my friends would come over and we would play those terrible Zelda games, and as children, we didn't think they were bad. We just enjoyed them for what they were.
Yeah.
Because back when people look at the Zelda games or the CDI games in general, they're looking at them from a modern perspective. But if you look at them from the time that they were actually released, they were good. Like the Zelda games have genuinely great music. It's like this weird prog rock kind of David Bowie-esque music. It's really, really unique. It's really good. Like I didn't play the third one. I know there are 4 Nintendo games on the CDI. There's Hotel Mario, there's Faces of Evil, Wand of Gamelon, and then there was the other Zelda game as well. I'd never played that one, but I have played the other 3. Like Hotel Mario is a perfectly fine game. I don't know why people rag on it so much, because it's not like a complicated game or anything. You just play as Mario and you have a screen full of doors and you have to close the doors before the enemies can open the doors. That's all you do, but it's a kind of fun game. You know, I have finished it. It's hard as hell, but I did finish it. I've finished the Zelda games several times. I've never had a problem with them. I find them fun. The great music. Obviously, I love Cluedo. That's a great game. But
this I'm showing
there's
right
arcade
now.
games on there as well. You know, like
On screen
Pac-Man and stuff. So
on screen, I'm showing the third Zelda game.
yes, the one I didn't play. It looks quite bad. It doesn't look like the other 2.
Yeah.
But from Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon, people remember those for the cutscenes. Like they had these terribly animated cutscenes that were made in Russia, and the animators had no idea really what they were animating for. So it just became this complete like psychotic mess of characters moving around the screen in such a weird way, and they were laughably bad, and they still are. But people look at them now and they remember these characters from these terrible games fondly in the future, and it was like they could name all of the characters from the terrible CDI Zelda games, but none of the characters from the new Zelda games that are still coming out. You know, it's like they remember them because they were bad and it was funny. And I think people have gone from looking at these games of like being, oh, they're bad, they're a disgrace to the legacy of Zelda or whatever, to at least they were trying. You know, they were trying something different. They were trying something fun. They were trying something a bit daring. Nintendo may have hated it, but at the time, the reviews were good as well. That was the thing. The reviews for these games were good. They got like 7 out of 10 and stuff. So they weren't bad games when they were released. It was only looking at it from the context of the future that you kind of realize these games are quite flawed. They are quite bad. But are they bad games? Are they the worst games ever? Not by any stretch of the imagination, I would say. They're not great, but they're definitely not bad. You know, it's not like unplayable or anything like that. They look nice music. They're fun, kind of, if you're into that kind of thing, I suppose. You know, I've finished them several times as an adult, so obviously there's something wrong with me, but maybe other people need to give them a chance, have a look at them and go like, man, they're not too bad, you know. Not the worst thing ever.
Well, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, helps support the show. You want to talk about a guy that supported the show, an OG, Rumpled Trenchcoat, a member for 22 months, approaching his 2-year anniversary. Zelda Where Link Speaks, cartoons, great for kids. And Dark Lelit does say the edits and memes of those cutscenes are classic. I bet you people have had some fun with those, overdubbing them and stuff.
Oh my God, they're still going. They are still going, Tom. People still make memes out of the Zelda CDI games. There's a character that has 2 lines of dialogue, I think,
Yeah.
and people still make memes of this character to this day, 30 years on, from 2 lines of dialogue. That's how memorable these things are. But they look at the new characters in the new Zelda games, and you can't even remember their names. It's like,
Well, it's like the Atari system was a really good game system, but the games themselves were so primitive. There was they were all they were all 8-bit, I think, but the graphics and they, like, I got Pele Soccer, and it was like a 3-on-3 game that just had like sort of an overhead view of men walking, and their feet would come out. You'd see their feet, and you just sort of bopped the ball that way. It was awful. And there was also a Superman game where you had to avoid kryptonite. You had to find a bomb, take it for a place where it could be exploded properly, and then save Lois Lane. But like Superman, you could make him fly, but they had so many screens. If you were going, say, left to right, you'd have to go through 10 screens of cityscape to get where you wanted to go for no reason at all.
I mean, know what you're talking about.
It was really not good. That being said, that original game, the game you got with Atari called Target Fun, literally had 40 games on it. And there were ones you would shoot planes out of the sky. There were ones where there's all sorts of games, and it was awesome. It was awesome, but a lot of the games were branded with some big franchise, but the game itself, Pele Soccer, you would think, not that Pele was known for lending his name to good stuff, but there was just some really bad stuff. Guido Samurai says the cutscene looked like Adult Swim cartoons.
That's true. Yes,
that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Well, that's all I got to tell you about the CDI, unless you got additional insight.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while. I'm upset that the battery. I need to learn to enunciate properly. It died, and I don't know where my parents have hidden the CDI at the moment, away from my prying eyes. They used to have a house in Spain, and they took it there for some reason and left it there. And I was always curious, because they rented this out, so I was always curious if other visitors went there and ever saw the CDI and wondered, what the hell is that? Why is there a VCR player here?
Tried to play it, yeah.
There's no way they did. No
Rumpled
way.
Trenchcoat says, I remember that Superman game for Atari. You could fly, but that would skip 3 screens, so you had to walk or else you'd miss the bomb location. Yes, exactly. You'd be sitting there going, why is Superman walking? It doesn't make any sense.
It's super frantic as well, isn't it? It's like you're moving all over the screen at the speed of light, and you just don't know what's going on. It's a really crazy game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. We had other games. There was a racing game, but again, it was an overhead shot of an oval track. What was the one that was? Oh, we had a driving game that all of a sudden would have black ice on it, so that your car you wouldn't have that much control over it and stuff. It was, you would always crash. It was not that great, but I do remember that Christmas morning when we went down into our sort of family room, and the thing that blew me away was the color, because we had been watching black and white Pong all those years, and it was like, the Target Fun screen with the objects going across the top for you to shoot was on, and it was like, wow, color. Did you ever play Dragon Slayer?
Never seen color before, yeah.
Did you ever play the interactive Dragon Slayer game at the arcade?
Dragon's Lair, the
yeah.
Oh, who was it made by? The animation studio, wasn't it? I've not played it. No, I do know it though.
You got to pick things and
Yeah,
figure out.
I remember I played another version of that because there was a modern version. It was like a different character running around, and I remember playing that on PC when I was really young, and I couldn't understand it at all because I was too young. But yeah, it was the same thing made by the same company, I think. Can't remember what it was called.
So now you have a new song coming out for the show.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to you actually.
What's the name of it?
You-
You don't have to
I
send it
can't
right
remember.
now.
Oh, Passing in the Night, isn't it? Yeah, Passing in the Night.
Okay, I'll play it tomorrow. Unless you want me to play it tonight. No, I should play it tonight. You're here.
You can play it tonight if you.
If I download it,
Yeah, I'll
and
just
do
send
all
it
that,
now.
do all that fun stuff, so I can get rid of the Who's Terry
Don't
Nee
know.
song for certain. Oh, and we did not meet our goal today of any amount of money, which is very tragic. That is extremely tragic. We haven't really been doing that well in the old super chat department, but oh well. Let me get to this mail.
Now, somebody was saying in the chat, the dinner meme or something that killed me
Yeah.
temporarily. It broke my internet. It's the king in Faces of Evil when he says, I wonder what's for dinner." It's such a stupid line. People love that one. I think it was Rumple Trenchcoat was saying, "Well, excuse me, princess," was from Zelda
yeah.
CDI. That's not true. That never came from Zelda CDI. That came from the animated series, the Link animated series, which I've never seen. But "excuse me, princess" comes from that. He never says that in CDI. That's a common misconception for some reason. I think because it's two animated kind of Zelda things side by side, people conflate them into one thing. But no, the animated series had much better animation. It was less creepy.
Rumble Trenchcoat does say Dragon's Lair got a lot of quarters out of me. Worth it for the Don Bluth cartoon. Same with Space Ace.
Yeah, Don Blue, thank you. Yeah, Space Ace was another one as well. Yeah,
The
not as
game-
popular, but still cool.
The games that got a lot out of me were Zaxxon, Galaga, and was it called Tempest?
Yeah, Tempest's a good one.
And then
yeah.
Caterpillar also got a lot out of
Yeah,
me.
I love Caterpillar. Yeah, I really love the Capcom beat 'em up games like King of Dragons and stuff like that. I love those.
The great thing about Caterpillar was that trackball. You could be very,
Yes,
very, very
yeah.
exact with it. There was another one where you were shooting stuff and going real fast, and these right to left, left to right, and when you turned, your spacecraft would continue to go the direction you were going, and then go the other way. I can't remember the name of that one though.
Asteroids?
No, it
Asteroids
wasn't.
is a
It
lot of
wasn't asteroids. It was not asteroids. Oh, now look at this. This is so generous. Rumpled Trenchcoat says, "I was waiting until the topic was done since this is self-promoting, but I am doing a second podcast with my other sister called 50 Minutes of Fear, where we review horror movies. Check it out if you like that sort of thing." Well, you didn't have to super chat, and certainly not so generously. We'll promote anything you're doing here. I'm a big horror movie fan myself, so I'll be
Me too,
anxious,
yeah.
anxious to check out what your... do you know what your first title is, Rumpled Trenchcoat? He says, "Oh, yeah, you're right, Leon. That was from the cartoon." But yeah, what do you know what your first title is going to be? And is it going to be sort of classic stuff, or is it going to be, like, I don't want to get into the original Frankenstein, the original Dracula, or is it going to be 70s kind of pulp stuff, or 80s slasher movies, or what's the board of fare? Are you including? And then you got to have that debate that always happens: is, are you including science fiction? Okay, I'll give you this. Aliens is a horror movie that just happens to be science fiction. They get into all those little details of this and of that.
The original Frankenstein from like 1920.
1931, directed by James Whale. Yes, they cut the scene where he throws the little girl into the pond and she drowns. The girl that's helping him pull the petals off the flower.
Yeah, if you haven't read the book.
The movie's nothing like the book at all.
No, nothing like. I really like the book. I really like the Mary Shelley book. Yeah, it's great.
Well, in the United States, they did a direct adaptation of the book on television, and it may have been a miniseries, and it starred Michael. I think Michael Sarrazin was in it, and it was really great. I mean, at the end of the movie, he's on an ice floe or something out in the middle of the Arctic.
Yeah, that's what happens at the end of the book. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, really good. Okay, here we go. Rumble Trenchcoat says, we got a few episodes up. It's a little mixed. We reviewed Weapons, Talk to Me, Suspira. Oh, boy, the original and the remake. That's a great trailer. Suspira. Or Suspiria. That's what it is, Suspiria. Oddly, she's editing Caveat, and we're going to do the original The Wicker Man. Oh, the original The Wicker Man is so good. Speaking of The Wicker Man, you also could do Midsummer, I suppose, as a follow-up. And my scariest movie of all time, it's more probably supernatural. And that's another thing these horror people will say, that's supernatural, that's not horror. And that's Hereditary. I love Hereditary.
Yeah. Oh, I love Hereditary. What a great film.
Hereditary is just massively good. Okay, that was my next question. On YouTube at 50 minutes of ear. What? Oh, no,
It's
50 minutes of fear.
Or 50 minutes of fear.
No, 50 minutes of fear. Yeah, everybody go to 50 Minutes of Fear. I'm assuming it's at 50 Minutes of Fear on YouTube and sign up. Subscribe. Today. To now. Do it. Anyway, all right, that's all I got time for. I'm spent. I apologize. I'm super tired today. Super tired.
I am as well. I'm going to have a sleep on my sofa, I think. My cat is staring at me angrily.
I spent a good 3 hours this morning debating with Scott from Australia, Scont, about, well, anything, because that's what he'll debate about. Hereditary and Midsummer are on the docket for sure. Midsummer to me is an extended sort of different take on The Wicker Man, but
it's
what do I know?
Yeah, I do like Midsummer, but it just kind of feel like an alternate reality version of Hereditary, because it's the same director, isn't it?
Yes, it's the same director.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as good, but I did like it still.
Midsummer's good and creepy, and
yeah,
it has. But see, here's the thing. Rumple said, "Thanks for letting me get that out. It's a lot of fun." No, Rumple, whatever you want to promote here, you don't have to worry about anything. We'll promote you however we can. The thing about Midsummer that's very different than Hereditary is that I, many times when watching a movie, will imagine myself in the movie. And for Midsummer, I'm like, okay, I would have killed all these people very early on.
Yeah.
You can't leave. Oh, you drugged me. You threw a couple old people off of a cliff and all that stuff. I'd have been like, we're out of here.
It's time to
you
go.
can't leave till the end of the festival. Okay, I don't care if we're in a Scandinavian country and you don't have guns here. I would have probably smuggled one in, but if I hadn't, I would take a hammer and beat all of your brains in. I don't care. So there's that. Now, on the plus side, you did get a lot of sex in the Hereditary. I mean, in the Midsummer movie. So that was true. That was true. Yeah. Let's see. Rumple Trenchcoat says we're also likely going to do a comparison between the two versions of "Let the Right One In." Oh, that's cool. That's very, very cool.
I don't think I've ever seen Let the Right One In. It's
you got to do the Evil Dead trilogy, and man, horror people. The best movie of the three, and they're all really good. Don't get me wrong. Of the original three is Army of Darkness, And it's not a horror movie at all, really. I mean, yeah, it has some horror elements in it, but it's pretty much a comedy adventure movie. This is my boomstick. Shop smart, shop smart. Anyway, I love that movie. Baby, you got ugly. It's just a good movie. Have you seen Army of Darkness?
A while ago, yeah. I watched all three of them in a row because I'd never seen them before, and it felt like it was something that was missing off my horror list. So I just sat down every night and watched each one, and I think Army of Darkness is probably the best. Yeah,
Well,
it's not a horror film at all. It's like,
and you almost go, is this the same universe as the first two movies?
it's a massive departure. The thing is, it's so prevalent in pop culture that I know like all of the lines from that film from other things. It was like in Duke Nukem or like Dead Rising and stuff like that would use just things from those movies. And it was nice to see the origin of like where those things actually came from.
Well, Rumpel says Evil Dead 2 and Army in Darkness are wonderful slapstick horror movies. Guido Samurai says Leprechaun in the Hood is the greatest horror movie of all time.
Yeah, I need to watch it.
Rumble, if you want to come on one day, we will just talk about horror movies in your new channel the whole time. I got no problem with that at all.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Anyway,
invite me as well. I'll be there.
Scott. we can get. Oh God, Scott.
Just have four of us, yeah.
No, Scott, we would end up talking about Australian musicals or something.
Australian horror movies.
It would have to be, Australia invented the horror film, Tom. That would be awesome. Yeah, whenever you want, man. Whenever you want. Anyway, all right, sir. I'll let you catch some shut-eye there. And, because what, is it 3 a.m. or something there right
It's 11 minutes past 1.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's still pretty bad.
Not too bad, no.
And end of a long work week. So, anyway, all right, sir. Hey, Leon, always, just can't thank you enough for all you do, and thanks for coming on. And then, again, if there's another topic you want to talk about, maybe you jump in with us on the horror movie thing.
That is something I actually know a lot about. Yeah, I actually do know a lot about horror films.
Well,
I was thinking of like things that I'm an expert in, and horror movies is definitely one of them. Harry Potter is another one that's really embarrassing. I know like everything there is to know about Harry Potter, which is really sad.
Can I let you know something?
Yeah.
There is a 0% chance we will do a show on Harry Potter.
Thank God.
Program.
Yeah, it sucks.
Let's see, 50 minutes of fear. I'm writing this down. Of fear. Yes, I'm going to check that out tonight. Wade Curtis says, I second the leprechaun in the hood comment. A friend with weed is a friend with weed, but a friend with gold is better, I'm doing. Anyway, all right, man. Take it easy, and I'm going to play your song here in just a second.
It's a good one, yeah.
All right. You have a good one, and say hi to the UK for us.
I will. Bye.
Bye-bye. That, of course, the legend that is Leon Kennedy. We can't thank him enough. He's been just such a wonderful, awesome addition to what we're doing here. And I don't know what we'd do without him. I would be just humming during the opening of the show for 6 minutes. Just humming. Tomorrow we're going to do the rural purge of television programs from the United States TV landscape. I'll tell you why. Green Acres and Beverly Hillbillies and Petticoat Junction all got yanked off the air, even though they were very popular. And on Sunday we will do Hawaii Five-0. So there. All right. Now, without further ado, we have the world premiere of the latest song from the legendary Leon Kennedy. And the old clock on the wall, and you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And at 50 Minutes of Fear on YouTube, subscribe right now. And until next time, we'll see you next time.
passing by an exit, like reflections low. You're leaving behind what you've come to know. Turn that dial as the white lines roll, and tune in to that familiar show. We're passing in the night, two strangers on the highway. On the highway, headlights burning bright. We're passing in the night, two strangers on the road. On the road, tuned in to the Tom Gulley Show. Weaving on the turning, the sun begins to rise. The lights ahead are burning as you rub your tired eyes.